I've just bought this little mini quad as a project just half an hour ago. I've only give £20 for it. I don't know what kind it is or anything. I know the pull cord's missing. Here's it on. Just pulls off. It hasn't got the pull cord, but they're £10 forward. The engine's turning over, so the starter clutch is jammed. Locked it in. If you listen here, when I push it, the engine turns over. It should just rally. See? So I'll probably just get a full new engine, but I'm still going to take this apart today and have a look what's in it, because the barrel might be still worth keeping. When I sell it, somebody can have spares. It's not too bad of a bike. Disc brakes and that. Tyres seem okay. It looks different when I clean all this up. Put bolts in what I'm missing. Don't know what goes here. Some sort of panel. There's probably a panel on the front. Got the numbers on. I'll keep them bolts, put them back in that hole. Now we'll get the two off at the front. We'll get them two out now. Them two Allen key ones, get the exhaust off. That's the two bolts out, get the exhaust off now. I'll put them back in the hole so we don't lose them. So we're going to take them three bolts off and the bolts underneath and lift the engine out. That's that plate off. Just put the bolt back in there. Just put these two bolts back in there. So we've just got them four to take out. That's the engine out. Just a little tiny thing. Already took the car slide out to get the engine on earlier. That's where the pull start cool. I'm going to strip this down now. There's the engine. It's got an oil leak. Somewhere. I'm going to start stripping this down anyway. So we'll get the carb off. Just take these 48mm off. Now we'll get this casing off. It's that one, that one, that one, as far as I can see. So we'll get them off anyway. That's that casing off. Just take the bolts out, put them back in. Should all last them. That one in there. Now we'll get this off. Just go around it and prise it off. That's it. Just eventually come off. That's the fibre off. So with the key. Out the crank, out the crankshaft there. So move that off now. Just to get out the way. So we've got that off. We'll just put the two bolts back in there. Now we'll take the cylinder off. So that's the four bolts out. We'll just slide the head off now, see the condition of the piston. Shakes. Crank's new though, because it's still copper colour. There's the little bearings out the Conrod. Conrod's just tiny. There's the piston. Let me get this off now. See if it was the clutch what was locking up. Now the bolts are out. Just put this off. There's the clutch. That's what the pad's running on. Get this nut off now anyway. Then you'll get the clutch off. So I'm just going to slap them 4 Allen key bolts down there. See if it splits it without having to take this clutch off. That's the 4 Allen key bolts out of the holes. And ones there, they're all the same length as 4 of them. Just see if we can. There's the main bearing on that side. There's the crank on that side. I'll just put the bolt back into the middle of the crank. I'm just going to tap that and the crank should come out. It's nearly out anyway. So just give it a tap. There's the crank. It's tiny. There's another case in it. So this is the clutch what was broke on it. And this is the clutch. This is how it was broke. That comes off there. That's what the clutch locks onto this here. How they work. If it's got the springs on there, it would be keeping it. See how there's a gap between all the weight, because there's pads on there, there's friction. Well, it's weighed off, but there should be friction on there, like what you get on clutch pads on each one. They're not touching the outer drum now. You can see the gap behind each one. If they had the springs in holding them together like that, that's where they would be. You see the gap around each one, each where you can see a tiny bit, couple of mil on there, but there's a gap in between the big ring. Seeing it drops there. The work on gravity. So if the spring's in, that's not touching this outside and turning the engine and turning this. But when you rev your bike, gravity opens it, and it opens them 3 rings, them 3 pads up there. So the pads are touching this clutch, and that's what drives you. That's what drives the engine. So if your clutch plates are worn on there, it'll not be gripping this circle properly and slipping. That's how the bike was, the quad was broke, with no springs. That was touching up there, that was touching down onto that wheel, because the springs weren't keeping, that was on there. It was just turning the engine over like that. Like when I was pushing it, was just turning the engine, where it shouldn't. When it's not touching there, without the springs. It's not turning the engine. See me film, it's not turning the front sprocket. But when they're touching that, like that, see it turning, it's turning the engine now. So if you ever have problems with your clutch, that's what it is, the springs are off and they're rubbing the outside of the drum. I know I went on a bit, but I'm just trying to describe it. Anyway, that's that split. That's all the engine out. Tiny crank. Conrod's tiny. Tiny carb. Tiny cylinder. Tiny main. That's where the clutch has been in there. You can see all the marks. There's a slide for the carb. Tiny. There's a little lens as well. They're tiny. There's a broken clutch. There's the piston there. So I'll put it to scale to something. So that's how big the piston is, tiny on it, but scratched. And the new engine, I'll put the picture into the video, £38. I may as well just get a new engine because I'm going to have to buy a clutch, but the clutch is only £5. Probably have to buy a piston, so I don't know how much them are. Cylinder's got a few scrapes in, but it's still usable. But this hasn't got a pull cord, and the pull cords are £10, so works out better buying a new engine, to be honest. But this is the quad. All clean, all the brakes work and that. Just want to get the engine and I'll clean everything. But you get them floor panels in the plastic kit. There's the plastic kit, what was on it. Now, what kind it is, I think, a Starfighter, Street Fighter. Starfighter. So, whoever's watching my video, what colour I should do it when you see the picture of the panels? Because I'm thinking green. There's the other panel there. Don't know if you're going to seat with the panels, hope you do, because that's kind of rough. I'll just make a seat cover. Let us know about the engine I'll be buying. I think it's worthwhile buying an engine. There's the full starter casing. Because at least even if I do buy an engine, somebody's got all these spares.